Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you knew exactly what your next step was supposed to be? You knew exactly what you needed to do in order to up level, in order to grow, in order to get to the next level, and yet somehow you still couldn't get yourself to do that very thing. Let me explain to you in this video exactly why is this happening. When it comes to subconscious mind, when it comes to your brain, when it comes to the safety, when it comes to all of these things that I'm always repeating and drilling into your heads, guys, it is because on some level you still do not feel safe to do that next step, and on some level you still wait for permission from someone to give you permission to act, for someone to give you permission to do that step, for someone to give you permission just to follow that path. And this stems from our childhood, basically, right? Because when we were kids, when we were still looking out for some outside authority outside of us to tell us, yes, this is the right thing to do, no, this is not the right thing to do, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. And we have been conditioned our whole life to be looking up to authority to kind of approve of what we are doing, what we are going to do next, or what we've been doing, or someone somewhere literally to approve of our journey, to approve of our next step. And that's from the subconscious mind point of view. You will always be waiting for someone to say what you want to hear, to validate you, to approve of you, and to applause for you. All of this is happening because it's at some level, on some point in your body, in your mind, in your subconscious, you still don't feel safe enough in order to proceed. You still don't feel safe enough in order to trust your own intuition, to trust your own knowing, to trust your own decisions, and to trust in your own moves, right? On some level, you are still waiting for someone to come and approve of you, and someone to come give you permission to do that, and someone to come and literally tell you that, yes, this is the correct thing to do, yes, this is the right thing to do. But let me tell you right now, no one is coming actually. And if you are waiting for someone to do that for you, you are never going to be able to move forward. You are never going to be able to play out your full potential. You are never going to be able to prove to yourself and to live the life that you came here to live. Because no one from the outside can approve of you before you approve of yourself. Right? And you need to do those moves. You need to go against the fear. You need to go against the conditioning. You need to go against everything that you have been literally programmed here in order to make that move. And it's quite contradictory, because that is how you're going to prove to yourself that you can. And that is how you're going to actually validate to yourself that you can trust yourself, you can trust your decisions, and you can trust your own moves. Until you will be able to move from there, from that place of inner knowing, of inner validation, of inner approval, of giving yourself the permission to do that, the world is not going to reflect that to you, because we know by now that everything that is happening on the inside of us is going to be reflected on the outside, because this world is operating as a giant mirror, right? So whatever you are going through, whatever you are moving through in your internal beliefs, and whatever you believe essentially about yourself, the world is going to reflect back to you. So if you don't believe that you are worthy of this next step, this validation, this attention, then the world is going to reflect that back to you. If you on the other side believe that, then you will get this bias and this reflection back to you, proving to yourself that indeed the world is reflecting your beliefs back to you. If you believe that the world is a really bad place, there is no money, for example, there is no love, there is no happiness, then the world will reflect that back to you, because we cannot get other experiences other than what is going on inside of our own head. This is how this universe was set up. That is why I'm always saying that if you're trying to achieve something, if you are achieving something, you already need to act as if. You need to already embody the energy as if you already have that, because then the reflection will change. Then you will get the feedback back to you saying that this is already here, this is already happening. Whereas if you're trying to do that, as I was saying in the other video, you will keep perpetuating this cycle of trying. You will keep perpetuating the cycle of not being there yet. You will perpetuate the same things over and over again. And I used this before. It's like when you are looking into the mirror, you want to change what you see in the reflection of your mirror. You don't go and try to change the mirror itself, right? You need to change yourself, so then the reflection changes as a consequence of that. So if you want to see in the mirror a smiley face, then you need to smile first, and then the mirror reflect that back to you. That's how it goes with this reality. That's all it is. All these triggers that we are getting back, all the feedback is literally that. It is a feedback of what is going on in our internal operation, in our internal makeup. And how do we change the outside? It's literally from the inside. I know that probably this is not what you wanted to hear, guys. I know you probably were waiting for some super fast trick or shortcut of how to do that, but literally this is how it can be done. That's why I'm always repeating that if you ever do this work, this internal work, and you work in your beliefs, you work in your mind, you work with your wirings, what you believe, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive the world, heal your inner child wounds, you start changing literally your makeup, and you're gonna start changing the reflection of what the world is going to give you back. That is why it is super important and super crucial. No matter what you do on the external, it will never compensate the work that you do on your internal beliefs, on your internal thoughts, on your internal makeup, on your internal conditioning, and all these things, right? And it has been repeated so many times, and I know before you really understand and before you really start applying that for yourself, it will all sound like some fluff or something that is repeated, like, okay, of course I have to change myself from the internal, and then the external will catch up on me. But what does it actually mean? And the funny thing is, you will not know what does actually mean until you do it and you try it for yourself. And once you try it for yourself, once you prove to yourself that it actually works, and that's how it actually works, it will be very simple for you to understand these principles, and it will be actually natural for you to apply these principles, because the world will start changing really fast, because your perception of the world will change first, and then the world, as a consequence of that, will change around you. So if you are still waiting for the permission from someone else to give it to you, I have a bad news. You will keep waiting, because no matter what validation you can get from the outside, from the external, it will not compensate from your own validation, from your own permission. In order to stop waiting for the permission, what you have to do, you have to give yourself the permission to act. You have to give yourself the permission to do the thing that you really want to do. You have to give yourself the permission. And you will not be able to move forward until you learn that for yourself, right? You don't need anyone else's approval. What you are looking for, what you are actually craving, is the validation and the approval of your highest self, of your inner being, of your inner knowing. You already know what you're supposed to do. You just need to approve of yourself before you wait for the world to approve of you. So if you're right now in the space where you know exactly, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, you know exactly what you're supposed to do, and deep down when you get quiet, you do know what you're supposed to do, but the chances are that you are avoiding that very thing that you know you're supposed to do, right? Because it feels unfamiliar, because it doesn't feel safe, because it feels like something too much out of your comfort zone. But that is the exact thing you are supposed to be doing. right? And you know that already. You don't need me to tell you that. You don't need another video to watch that. You don't need another mentor to tell you that, to bring you back to your own power, because all of that is just to bring you back to your own inner knowing and to your own inner power, to know that you came here to do those things, and you do not need anyone and anything to prove that for you. You don't need permission from no one. But if you still need it, if you're still waiting for it, then you need to start looking internally and start giving that permission and perhaps that validation to your inner child. Because that tells me that you still do not feel safe in this world. You still most likely do not feel safe in your own body, in your own vessel, and you do not feel safe enough to trust your own decisions. You do not feel safe enough to trust your own moves. You do not feel safe enough to go for it because you feel like there is some other authority, some other force that is higher than you that is gonna perhaps punish you for going for it without the permission, or that is gonna punish you for doing that. I don't know what beliefs that you hold, but so many of us have these beliefs that if we do something that has been not done before, that has not been done in a way that we are thinking of doing it, then something is gonna come and punish us for us. When this is the biggest bullshit, right? You know who you are, you know what you're supposed to do, and you do not need this permission. But like I said, if you feel like you need it, you still need to dig into the internal makeup, and you need to work with your inner child in order to make them feel safe and secure and dedicated, and really make them feel like they can do the things that you feel like are very hard or are difficult, or they are not secure, or they are not certain. That's important. You need to be able to trust your own internal beliefs to be able to do those things. And how do you build that trust? Is by putting yourself out there in ways that only you know how that works for you, only you know what it is for you. But you know, when I'm speaking right now, you definitely know for certain what you need to do, what is the next step, literally. And if you still don't know that, if you still have a lot of chatter in your mind, if you still have a lot of ideas, if you cannot get quiet, if you cannot get down to the one thing that you really need to do, perhaps that is your next step, is to get yourself quiet and start listening to that inner voice, start listening to that inner knowing, because it is there. I promise you. You just distracted yourself too much in order to listen to it, or you distracted yourself too much in order to distinguish that's the voice that I need to listen to. Because there is going to be also the critique, the inner critique, and then there is going to be the inner voice. And the inner critique is going to be based on all the programming, all the people, all the conditioning that you have received, most likely, if you haven't dealt with that. That's going to be telling you the otherwise, right? It's going to be telling you, do not do that, don't do that, keep yourself safe, keep yourself quiet, keep yourself down, keep yourself low. Everything that has been conditioned to you, which is not you, is going to try to overpower this inner voice that you know that is inside of there. So that's why it is really powerful to actually dedicate this time out of your busy day for quiet mindfulness and start connecting with this inner knowing, start connecting with this inner voice that you know is the truth, that is not the critique, that is not the conditioning, that is not the programming, that is the pure truth. And you know that's the voice that you need to listen to. That's the only voice that will kind of bring you forward into what you're supposed to do here, who you are supposed to be here. Because all these other noises and wirings are just that, a noise, right? It's a noise in order to distract you from the truth that you know deep inside, that you're supposed to follow, and that you know when you follow, everything is unfolding in the magical, mysterious way that this life we came here to live. That's how it's supposed to be. But we have been so conditioned, so put into this social expectations of how things should be, and we are relying so much on our logic, only on logic, that we forgot that there is something beyond, right? There is something that is trying to guide us every single day, and it's not logical, it's not scientific, it is literally there to guide us individually. So I want you to come back to this truth, and I want you to start connecting back to that knowing, because only you can do that for yourself. You cannot wait for anyone else to give you permission to do that. You cannot wait for anyone else to tell you what that voice is telling you. You cannot wait for anyone to tell you what your next step is. You can only find it in yourself. And if you can get yourself to the state where you will be able to communicate with that, you will be able to hear those next steps, then you are winning literally in this life, in this game, because you will have the clear guidance and you don't have to doubt yourself. And you will prove to yourself over and over again that whenever you follow that inner voice, it is leading you literally towards where you're supposed to be. And there is no fulfillment higher than doing this, literally, in this life. Nothing else will give you this feeling. Nothing else can compensate this feeling. No material things, no spiritual things, no nothing. It is literally doing that. And that's how you find that inner knowing, that inner purpose, and that inner fulfillment that cannot be faked. Literally, it cannot be faked, because we feel it, we know it. And you know when you follow that, how it feels. You know when you don't follow that, how it feels as well. So let's get back to the topic of this video, which was, if you're still waiting for that permission, that just tells me that you are not connected to your inner truth, to your inner knowing. Because if you were, you would not be waiting for anyone to approve of you. You would not be waiting for any applause. You would not be waiting for anyone to literally tell you, yes, this is the correct way, because you will be so certain and so secure in what you are doing by listening to this voice that you would not be waiting around for this permission. So how can you connect to that? Like I already mentioned, you can try meditation, but don't try it once and say that this is not for you. You need to dedicate some time for that to be actually able to connect with that, right? It takes practice, it takes dedication, it takes effort, daily effort, in order to be able to actually connect to that voice. You can try journaling, you can try voice noting yourself, anything that helps you connecting with your own truth, anything that helps you connecting with that inner knowing. And we all have this possibility and capability to connect to that, right? You just need to find your own way. It doesn't have to look anything like mine, but you have to find a way that you will be able to connect to that, right? Some people find it in a flow state when they are doing some kind of dancing or movements or anything like that. Anything that can get you to the flow state also is very beneficial, because you will be able to connect to something beyond you, and the answers will come. And all the things that you have been asking for, you have been trying logically to find answers for, will come to you when you are doing something that you actually enjoy and something that you can lose yourself in, right? This is another contradiction of us as human beings. We are trying so hard to figure it out, and then the answers come to us when we least expect it, when we least pay attention, and that's when it comes, right? So instead of waiting for permission, instead of trying to figure it out, instead of trying to do this, so many things, just find the thing that you really enjoy and try to lose yourself in it. And then the answers might come to you very easily. And you will be surprised by what you uncover. So the next time you catch yourself waiting for permission, or procrastinating your next step, procrastinating your next move, instead of getting yourself in this paralysis and waiting for something to happen, take the next step. Just take a small step. And if you cannot get yourself to do that, then do some inner work, do some inner child work. Make your inner child safe and secure into who you are. Let them know that there is nothing to be afraid of, and let them know that they can do anything and everything they desire, and you are going to be here all the way, supporting them every single step of the way. Just make them sure and secure, and watch how your demeanor is gonna change immediately. Watch how you're gonna show up for yourself. Imagine that you are showing for that little you right now, that everything that you are doing is for them, and see how you're gonna show up differently. See how you're gonna do that regardless of there being a no applause, of there being no approval. None of that will matter, because when you get to the root cause of that, and when you get to the knowing of the inner truth that is guiding you, you will be able to do that next move. Just stop overthinking it, stop overanalyzing it, stop overcomplicating it, and just take it one step at the time. When you make your inner child safe to do that, when you make your inner child safe to do those moves, you're gonna be able to operate it, because it is all about safety, right? Like I'm always saying, it's about the subconscious mind needs to be safe, on board with your goals and desires, and your nervous system. And the nervous system has to do a lot with the subconscious mind, has to do a lot with the inner child. So when you make the inner child safe, then you can make those moves, you can take those bold steps as your adult self, because you don't feel insecure inside of yourself. So the next time you know what to do. And instead of overanalyzing, instead of talking yourself out of it, instead of overthinking, just focus on the simple task at hand. And once it feels safe, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna thank yourself for it. So let me know how this goes for you, and if you have a story from yourself of how you worked through your inner child or some obstacles in your life, I would love for you to share it in the comments with us.